So today on the channel, we're gonna be talking all about money in dirt racing. So many of you wanna know, how do the top drivers in our sport get paid to be superstars? How do they make their money? So today, we're gonna take a deep dive into all that. Now, before we get into all the good information, I want to be very, very clear. This is talking about the top 1% of drivers, guys that are hired to drive a car. They really have no stake in the operation. They are just the man behind the wheel. Now, also high up in our sport, we have owner drivers, which that's a unique situation, or you have like a family team, or you have a rental rides, and that's totally good. Those situations are a little bit unique. Today, I really just want to focus in on the guys that are hired to be sent out to battle to win the war, and how they make their money. So when we begin the conversation about how the top or the hired drivers in our sport get paid, you're also going to hear the word percentage in there. So when a team hires a driver, usually up front they are told what their split of the purse money is going to be. That is their percentage that they take home. Now, I would say it's probably industry standard across the board today for a driver to be paid 30 to 40% of the purse, and then the team will take home the rest of it. If you have a really good deal, or you have a very generous car owner, or you're really, really good, you might be getting paid 50%. So that means if you win a race that pays $10,000 to win and you get 40% of the purse, you made $4,000 that night. Now let's say that race pays $1,000 to start and you ran 24th, you're only gonna be walking home with 400 bucks. So man, that really puts all this into perspective on how cutthroat it is to be a dirt racer. I mean, on a regular night, you could go from making $4,000 if you win, your cut, to just 400 bucks. Well, think about when you're racing at the bigger shows that pay 25, 50, $100,000 to win. And that's why there's so much on the line at these big shows with your performance. And then also you think of the things that are out of your control, losing a tire, or blowing an engine, or having a lap car crash in front of you. I don't know, but you could go from literally making $30, $40, $50,000 off one night or one weekend down to, what start money is, which is usually a little more at those bigger shows, but still, you could make $1,000 or you could make 30 grand, all in the same night. Now, again, I'm roughly speaking on the industry standard. Every situation is different. I do know that there might be a few drivers out there that are on a salary. Now, usually in that situation, I would say there's probably a very good sponsor behind the team or behind the driver, and then that kind of, adds to the equation, which is great. You need sponsors to make things go in a circle, and if a driver can bring that to the table, they should get more in return. So that's a little information on percentages, and that's how drivers get paid directly for their performance on track. Now, hearing all this information, it probably makes a little more sense now why it's so tough to be a car owner in our sport, because it's just so expensive. I mean, you got to pay your driver, you got to pay your crew, you got to pay for everything, and then you got to go out there and you got to win all the races or have really, really good sponsorship. Otherwise, it doesn't make, it doesn't make any sense for the most part anyway, but I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. Now, I did also want to throw it out there because I know many of you guys would ask, and I like to be transparent. Every single time that I've driven for another team, whether it was a one-night deal or, running with Shark Racing or QRC Karts, I have always been taken care of. And I say it humbly, but that's pretty cool, getting to drive for teams like that and getting, a percentage of the purse. It's awesome. Just to tell you about my greatest story, because out of all the races I've ran and races that I've won, my biggest payday, you could say, was winning the High Desert Hustle with QRC Karts. we won a $10,000 Twin Outlaw Kart race, and it was really cool. We got paid, and it took, I think they paid us like a week later, but Jimmy, he showed up to the next race that we were at, and he handed me, it was 10 grand, they gave us cash. That was amazing. And he's like, I just want you to hold this for a second. Jimmy being a father figure in my life, he's like, I want you just to hold this, take it home this week, and just keep it close and hold it in your hand so you know what it feels like. You won this race that paid this much money. He's like, bring 5,000 back next week, but just hold it. And so that was really, really cool. And that's a memory that I'll have forever. And hopefully one day when I want to be a car owner, or I want to be a sponsor, or whatever situation, I would love to return that favor to another young driver that just picked up a big accomplishment. So now we have all the details on how a driver is paid a percentage of the purse for their on-track performance. How else do they make money, outside of the race car? It's not like they can necessarily be on a national tour traveling across the country and have a normal job. Well, that's where sponsorship comes into play. And the term sponsorship sponsorship is a little broad. I think really what I mean underneath that is like specific branded partnerships that drivers have with companies, or, you know, endorsements of specific products, or like public appearances. And this may correlate with the partnerships and the sponsors they have on their race car, or it could be totally separate, because, you know, some of the drivers at the top of our sport are public figures and have big followings from all across the world. Here's a good example for you. Today's show is sponsored by Sprayway Glass Cleaner. See, throughout 2024, the Sprayway brand has sponsored a few videos here on the channel, and it's been a cool partnership because this is a product that we use directly inside the THR Racing program, whether it's cleaning the car, cleaning my visor on my helmet, my GoPro cameras to bring content to you. I mean, this stuff, it works amazing. And so from our vantage point as drivers, it's really fun to bring companies along for our journey in the sport, and it helps us get up and down the road, or our racing operation move in a circle, or, you know, for drivers, their families and their kids and all that sort of thing. So if you want to check out Sprayway, I put a link at the top of the description, the best glass cleaner on the market. But that's a good example. That's just a way for me to show you, you know, like other drivers, you know, doing the same thing with great brands that want to support dirt racing, want to be involved, and want to help drivers make things happen. So I guess there will be different takeaways from this video. Some people will think like, man, the top guys are getting totally rich, but you're not thinking of all the expense that goes into traveling up and down the country and having a motorhome, or having a t-shirt trailer, and being away from home, and all that goes into it. There's, you know, expense as well, and that's where it's nice to have different income streams as a driver just to make it all happen. So drivers get paid for their on-track performance, sponsorships, and other gigs that they pick up. And then the final way is with merchandise and souvenirs. It is very common if you go to a World of Outlaw or High Limit show, you're gonna see the t-shirt trailers lined up behind the grandstands. Now, of course, in this category, it's gonna be different for every driver, just because our fan bases are kind of spread across the United States. In some areas, they're stronger for certain drivers, and some drivers just have more of a following. But merchandise can be big. I know specifically for our team how helpful it was to have this t-shirt trailer. I mean, we towed it all the way across the country. We went to Eldora, we went to the Knoxville Nationals, we did all the West Coast races, and this was a big part of helping our team go up and down the road. Now, of course, we're in a different situation. We have a family program. We're not hiring me to drive the car, but man, like, along with our sponsorship and with our merchandise, like, that helped our team run in a circle. Our 2024 would not have been possible without this thing right here, and we got it up and running in June, and it was just amazing. And it was also cool because it added to our fan interaction and getting to kind of strengthen our connection and our community here on the channel and across our social platforms. But merchandise is big. It's an opportunity to sell souvenirs. Of course, people go to the track, they want to represent their favorite drivers. And inside our little 16-foot box here, we were able to carry quite a bit of stuff, and we're still using the space as we're shipping out orders for Christmas. So definitely selling merchandise and the opportunity for fans to support you is huge to have in your back pocket, and I'm very thankful for it. Like I said, it helps our team immensely. But, you know, for the higher drivers at the top, it's just something that's a little bit more consistent. And travel across the country, hitting the different hot spots with a lot of sprint car fans and kind of continuing through the schedule. I just feel this thing, it's nice to have in your back pocket, and it's a little bit more consistent to go along with your race winnings, because as you know, a guy could win 10 races in a year, his team wins $400,000, maybe he won a crown jewel race too, and then the next season he wins once or twice and maybe only brings in 150 or 200 grand. And I'm talking numbers before like everyone has to split it all up, you know what I mean? So at least having the t-shirt trailer, it's something for the drivers to, like I said, help them get up and down the road. And don't get me wrong, this has expense in it as well, you know, between a truck, a trailer, someone to run it, and, you know, all the merchandise itself. But anyway, just wanted to mention that it's a good thing for drivers to have, and it's an awesome way for fans to support who their favorites are. Alright, so now that you guys know how all the top drivers in our sport make their money, I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Hopefully you found this video valuable and you learned that yes, the top guys in our sport, especially the ones on the Outlaws and High Limit that are going to get a point fund check at the end of the year, which can be a very big check. They can make a good living with that, their purse money, you know, their endorsements, their merchandise. It all adds up, but it also goes down pretty quick, especially the guys that are scratching and clawing to run in the top 10 or just be a full-time team or have enough sponsor money to get up and down the road. You know, it's there's, you know, a lot of guys that are doing well, but there's also a lot that are just, you know, trying to get by and make it to the next show. But that's all I got for today. Of course, my goal, I want to be a top sprint car driver in the world. I want to win big races, and I want to continue to grow and improve. So we're going to keep at it, keep bringing you guys along for every step of the journey. Deuces.